Hey, welcome back to the Million Dollar Body Podcast, the intersection of physical success, time freedom, and adventure. I'm Nate Palmer. Today, we have a very special guest. We are chatting with Anthony Amen, the owner of Redefine Fitness. Together, between the two of us, we got to combine over 2 decades in the fitness industry. So we want to talk today about what are the things that make people successful? What are the dirty secrets in fitness? And also just like, I'm want to find out what superpower Anthony wants. So Anthony, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
It's an absolute pleasure, Nate, to be on today. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Before we got on the call, or before we got on the started recording, you said you were in a mood today. So I'm expecting like mic drop after mic drop today.
It's more like I just lugged weights for about 12 hours and then laid rubber flooring 12 hours yesterday. So my body's just like on top of the stress. It's a mood.
It's a whole mood. So you've been in fitness for about 9 years. You're currently opening your second location. Can you talk a little bit about that? What has that been like? What's it like to own a gym? Is that as sexy as everyone makes it seem?
No.
Just nah.
Just totally no. I wish I had a better answer for you. I think the easiest way to put it is most people go to own gyms because they're like, I like working out, let me open a gym. And then they open and then they go to business because they don't know business. And that's what owning a gym is. You could own a gym, you could own a hair salon, you could own anything in the service industry. If you don't know how to run a service-based business, it's gonna be very tough.
I feel like, even the personal training industry, a lot of people don't know this, but it's a 2 years. Well, a while back, it was a 2-year revolving door. People get their certifications, they'd get into the industry, they wouldn't make enough money. And they'd be like, well, now I do loans, home loans or whatever. And I think that owning a gym is the macro view of that. It's not just you and your clients. It's who's cleaning the toilets, who's doing janitorial services, who's your CPA. How do you have all these systems in place? So I'm curious, is that all on you, or do you have people around you doing that?
All me, man.
Ooh, that's a lot of hats.
I'll give your listeners a little
give us
side story about.
I'll
give you a little intro about my life. So when I got into the fitness industry, and we could use that story another time, but how I got into it and stuff, I was like, you know what? Let me go work at a bunch of gyms and start building some capital. So I was fresh out of college. I was making $0.00 a year. Perfect. Really good. So I started bouncing around. I worked at all the big box gyms. I worked at some mom and pop gyms. I wanted to work every position because if I'm going to own a gym, because that was always the 3,000 foot view angle. If I'm going to own a gym, I got to be able to work every position. I got to be able to understand every position. So I bounced around a bunch of times. And I was like, all right, now I need capital. And I was like, all right, I have $500 in my bank account. Don't really have a good work history because I purposely bounced around different gyms. How am I going to do this? I know, let me go become a physical education teacher. And at least I can make a steady salary, and then I can use that capital to open a gym. So I started school, and I went to a private school because it's the only one that offered around to me, and it was $60,000 a year. I'm on my second year, and I'm starting to shadow other PE instructors. And I would go in, and they'd be like, why are you getting into this field? It's like, well, I want to build capital in a gym. I like the physical education aspect of it. It's like, don't become passionate a teacher.
About eating, having food.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, just don't do this industry. It's not worth it. It's changed. It's no longer PE. Just find something else. So it's like, oh my God. So I'm talking to one of my instructors in class, and I'm explaining my big vision that I wanted to open a gym. He goes, quit school and go do it now. And she's like, well, I don't have capital. It's like, you'll figure it out. I was like, you know what? You're right. So I found an investor, and I was someone I ended up meeting, bouncing around. And he was like, yeah, I'll spot you. I'll be the money guy, blah, blah, blah. We found a 25,000 square foot facility, and I got convinced the landlord to rent to me, and I gave him the lease. And I was like, here we go, let's do this. And then he said, I can't do this. My wife told me no. searching for six and a
Cool.
half months. So I was like, all right, that's out the window. I already quit PE school. I'm in a pickle. You know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. So I went to the bank. I got a loan for the equipment. I opened up 15 credit cards, all with 0% interest, and used that money as to help build the place. My dad's a contractor, so it really helped a lot. We both did a lot of the work ourselves. And I said, screw it, man, let's just do it. And we just did it.
Wow. That's a jumping in with both feet.
Yeah, you know why? Because like in life, you're always going to be no time is ever going to be perfect, ever. There's not going to be like, this is the perfect, it's never going to happen. And you just really have to learn to take a gamble. And after having experiences in my life where I was already at the bottom of the barrel and I had big like areas where it was just like, this is it, this is worse than any human being could possibly be. And I already experienced that in life. And I knew that even if I got back down there, at least I know how to get back up. So screw it, let me do it. And then I went and I did it. And I worked 18-hour days for 3.5 months from 4:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. and got sick because you can't maintain.
Really? How did that happen?
Crazy. And then I just started hiring around me. And now I have a team. Now I have 13 trainers. Now I have a CPA. Now I have managers. So I really just built this place up from the ground up, ended all that through a year of shutdowns with COVID.
You're really not selling this to me in
No,
terms of
I'm
like
not trying to.
I'm not really like motivated now to take out 15 credit cards and work 18 hours a day. Like that sounds like, dude, that sounds like a lot. And then you're not even talking about the other stuff that you're doing, the podcast and all the hats you wear with your digital marketing as well.
I do everything.
You do everything. How many hours would you say you work every single day?
What's work? Let's clarify definition.
I'm just gonna take that, like put everything in a bucket that goes towards your business, towards your social media, towards like marketing, branding, anything like that. How many hours would you say you put in daily?
8 to 9.
Okay. All right.
With
So
7 days
we've cut it down about half from the early days.
Yeah, I have a work-life balance is really important. And I've been trying to, and I was able to really get myself 1 or 2 days off where I actually just take off. I don't work. And when I decided to go open up with the second spot, those days got filled in with doing construction again, because that's how we cut down on costs. Now we're a week and a half away from opening. I had 3 trainers quit on me that were supposed to be the ones starting at the new location. So now it's all just me and we're opening in a week. So life gets in the way a little bit there, but you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. There's nothing that would ever say, hey, don't do this, because I know how to get and put the formula in to work less, to really focus on what I like to call the $1,000 an hour jobs, as opposed to the $10 and $100 an hour jobs. I could hire people for that. So if it's really learning how to grow and getting systems in place and getting people you trust around you, couldn't be where I am today without my employees. So it's manageable. You just got to get there. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He works 60 hours a day and people always say, well, it's not fair. He's so rich. Well, look how much he works.
It has worked for decades.
It has worked. Yeah, exactly. You have
also,
to work enough
really
to get ahead.
Smart. I don't know if I can't quite scratch that. So I just sit back here. No rockets for this guy. So, okay. You mentioned that you had, you hired a couple trainers to help you open up the new spot. They quit a week before the grand opening. And like, obviously you already mentioned, like, there's never any time that's the perfect time, you know, whether that's to open a business or to start a family or to start a weight loss routine. There's things that are always going to get in the way. There's never a perfect time. And you wouldn't want it to be anyways, because if you could only operate in a vacuum, then you're never going to make money during like a recession or economic downturn, quarantines, you know, you're never going to be able to maintain your weight loss goals in the face of holiday seasons or a baseball game, you know? So like, obviously you got to figure out how to make things work around that. But like, talk a little bit about employees and how that hiring process has been. Who do you look for? What are qualifications that you see that are winners? And then what do you see that's a red flag for me, boy?
I'll keep with the trainers, because I think front desk is just kind of ambiguous. But with personal trainers, and I know you have a lot of people listening, when you come in for an interview, don't have your pants down by your knees. Don't. They're just this little things. My biggest thing is timeliness. You show up at your time or later, you're not getting the job. Period. I don't know when that disappeared in life growing up, that you shouldn't be early for an interview, but it's somehow gone now. But just show up early. Show that you want to be there. Don't call. I have gotten, and I literally can't make this up. This is like a new thing this year. People will not show for an interview and then reach out to you the next day, say, oh, sorry, something came up. Can we reschedule? Like expecting me to reschedule. It's not happening.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, completely.
I like that Lombardi time. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. But, and especially like, okay, like you don't even have to be that good of a trainer to excel at training, because it's all about showing up and being attentive, right? Like I think 90% of the job is being there, being physically and emotionally present, and not eating a sandwich. I feel like that's probably like, that's a pretty like good base to start with. So if you can't do that in your interview, ugh.
Yeah. And then it comes down to experience and certs. So listen, I've been in this industry a while. Most gym owners like yourself, Nate, know if you're coming in with a cert that I know you just signed up for online and then stole the answers from your friend, it's going to really heavily reflect on me hiring you. I'd rather get somebody who doesn't have a cert, but has the experience and understanding of how anatomy and physiology works, than somebody who bought a cert for $300 and said, look, now I'm a trainer, or just posted it on their Instagram and now they think they're a trainer. It's so those little things definitely go a long way. Personality is another big key. I hire based a lot on personality. I don't look for the most eccentric or outgoing person. Actually, instead, what I do is I try to hire a broad range of personalities. So I want the people who are shy. I want the people who are outgoing. So don't be afraid to show up to who you are, because different clients will mesh with different types of personalities. And that's how they're going to stick around, is based upon someone's personality, not necessarily their knowledge. If they don't like you, then it's not going to work out in the story, no matter how smart you are.
Yeah. I heard someone say the other day, I think it was Danny Cavadlo, was saying like the personal trainer has two jobs. Number one is to give you a workout you wouldn't have gotten on your own. So like for some people, that's just like a workout, because they wouldn't work out if they wasn't for someone being there talking them through it, you know, something super basic.
Yeah.
And the other job is to build a personal relationship. And if you can't do that because you just, you know, you don't mesh, maybe one of you is an energy vampire, or maybe that client just like, I don't like the way this guy looks. Like that's not going to work out. Right. What's like the shortest time period where you've hired someone and then been like, you know what, it's not going to work out for us?
That day.
Tell me about that.
I had start shadowing that day after we had 2-round interviews, and he picked up a 10-year-old client without asking, and to put him on a machine. I was like, all right, this isn't going to work. And tried telling me that in his generation, this was okay. I was like, I don't care what generation you think this is okay. This is never okay. It's never okay to touch people without asking. And two, especially kids. So that was bye. Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
When you go to correct people, unfortunately, trainers have the stigma, like everyone thinks that like, oh, you're trainer. Ooh, it's so not the case at all. So be careful, because you know people are thinking that way. So always ask, hey, is it okay if I touch you here to correct this? If I touch you this to this, just always say what you're going to do. Get used to that.
I always like to give them kind of like a kick in the ribs though, too, because there's nothing like, you can't misconstrue that. If your core's not tight, you're really going to feel it. And I feel like that to me is like, that's the essence of coaching.
The kick in the ribs.
Yeah. It's so like, it's so weird. I haven't been able to get a job recently, so I don't know what that's about. It's probably unrelated completely.
No, I don't think so.
I do like to tell people though, I'm like, hey, imagine that at any point during this workout, I'm going to come up and hit you in the stomach. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm also not saying it's not going to happen. So just stay nice and tight. And we seem to get good results with that.
Hey, but you're still not touching them. So if you go to hit them and you don't actually hit them and they brace their core.
I mean, sometimes I do hit them, you know, I'm not going to lie.
people are going to pick the sarcasm up, but it's going to be like, did you hear what he said?
You said I'm never going to his garage gym again. That's
Yeah.
fine, Barbara. You weren't invited anyways. Anthony, so you've been in the industry for a long time. You started off not necessarily kind of like, I think a lot of people start the standard route, which is like work at like an LA Fitness big box gym as a trainer, then like go to someone's studio, then open your own gym, then grow to a 25,000 square foot facility. You jumped in both feet. So you have like a lot of like unique experience like within the industry. So I'm curious what you think are some of the like, what are the things that people need to know about the fitness industry, or what are like the dirty secrets kind of behind that like just don't get talked about enough?
I want to start with first advice.
Hit it.
And it plays a lot to why a lot of people fail. Be a forever learner. You are this right now, you do not know everything. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been in an industry. I don't care how long you've been doing something. You do not know everything. And once you start saying that, you'll go out of business, because you need to adapt and learn, because times change, people's change, and you need to just understand different aspects of learning an industry. I think that's the biggest, just take this message with you, please, and understand it.
A quick follow-up to this. When's the last time you changed your mind about something fitness or health related?
Every day.
What can you give me a specific example?
I should not be saying this. No, it's okay.
This is what I'm here for.
I hate the keto diet. I'm a big proponent against it. Full disclosure for anyone that ever watches my show. Shocker. I actually had a guest I was interviewing. The episode doesn't come out yet, so go listen to it. I wasn't discouraged about the way he taught it. Usually it's like I hear it and I cringe and I start shaking. I was actually, okay, I like that. He did it differently. He explained it differently. He was doing it more from a health basis. I wasn't sold on it and still don't think people should do it, but I was actually like, wow, somebody who's talking about the keto diet actually knows what they're talking about and isn't just saying, Barbara up the street told me to go do the keto diet and I'm doing it. Look, I lost 10 pounds and I gained back 40. So that was something yesterday. I was just like, wow, yeah.
Cool. That's cool to hear. I was thinking about doing like a 30, I talk a lot of shit about the keto diet too, but I was thinking about doing like a 30-day stint where I actually give it a shot. I'm taking over the Low Carb Hustle podcast here. So I feel like it'd be only fair to give it a little bit of a shot, see what the results are like. So, but I was a big breakfast hater coming up. I was like, oh, you don't need to eat breakfast. Intermittent fasting is the way. And then I was also a cardio hater. You don't need to do cardio to get results. You can get blah, blah, blah without it. And now I'm a big fan of breakfast, and I have a lot of people doing cardio because it's just so great for health. So I changed my mind a lot too. I think you're 100% right. That lifelong learnership, whether you're in the, like as a gym owner or as someone who's getting personal training, like staying in that zone of being always curious, I think is like fantastic advice.
I mean, look at our industry. It changes every second.
Right.
Health and fitness, what it was 20 years ago is not what it is today. And that's not even close. Advice that you were giving when probably as a trainer 20 years ago, you're giving now is just wrong. I can't tell you how many trainers I see teaching clients to do lap pull downs behind the neck still. And I'm just like, bro, you got to be a forever learner. That's been shown to be really bad for your cervical spine, and you're still doing it. Let's take a step back. Let's learn. No, I don't need to. Okay.
Back in 87.
Cringe. Yeah, I just cringed. I'm like, no, please don't do that.
Yeah. So
those
what
are the
are
biggest
other
takeaways?
That's some like really good advice for people kind of like looking at that industry. But what are some like the fitness is like dark secrets that don't get talked about often enough?
There's a lot. I guess the biggest thing is staffing. And you kind of mentioned a little bit with trainers how they don't find it as careers. They get into it because they love it, but then they don't understand this is how it works. The job is one of the hardest career choices you can pick next to being a real estate agent. That's what I always compare it to. So those are the two hardest choices if you're going to go into those two industries. And then they're in and out. And most people only last about 6 months to a year before they're no longer a trainer and, like I said, doing some other job. So it's really hard as an owner to find good employees because you're trying to find ones to stick around, but those are far and far between. So you try to adapt and change how you hire people to keep them around, and it makes it difficult. Other different stuff is you'd be surprised how little, I don't even know how to say this, but the touching thing again, like how little people understand that, and how many trainers actually give like at least some trainers give other trainers bad names by telling their clients to take steroids and then making jokes about people. And it's just so wrong. And you're just trying to kill those basic stigmas that you hear about with your friends. It's like, no, that's not we should be a professional based industry. And we really need to strive to push towards that quarter. So that's another like bad thing. And we
You're
just
also more
it just
sensitive
has,
to that as oh, I'm the gym owner, liabilities is on top of me. So if you get sued because of something stupid you did or said, like that still comes back to me. And a lot of people don't even have that ownership. So kind of here, you know, like having that from the top down, I think is probably like one of the like the key components to like keeping the environment copacetic, right?
it's nerve-wracking. I mean, you're always going to have people that, especially when they're working out on their own, they think they're Superman and they can do things that they just can't do and shouldn't be doing. So it's tough because you're like, I don't want to be sued, but like, what am I supposed to follow these people around and be like, hey, no, don't do that. It's a difficult balance, and it's always on the back of your mind because people do get hurt. I've seen it. I've hurt myself plenty of times. So it's something just to keep in mind when you're designing and working with people, which is why I like the training aspect a little better. It's a lot more controlled. So that's something to always keep an eye on. On top of that, and I don't do at-home training. I never will because there are no cameras and I don't want to be involved in a lawsuit.
Fair.
Something to think about if you're doing at-home training, guys. There's just, it's tough. He said, she said, who could prove it? At least with cameras, I've had to. It's come about. It's just, okay, here, look, there's the proof. It's right there. Oh, okay. See, you were wrong. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Yeah. Had that come up once or twice where we got a doctor's note for something, and then they were like, well, we're gonna have to do some like paperwork about this. And I was like, I don't know. Doctor signed off on all this stuff, so I should be good. And thankfully, like that, you know, thankfully we did the work up front, got those signatures, got what we needed to do. So that way, and stuff did come up. It wasn't, it did not end up in litigation. So that's tough though, you know, especially when you're just like, I just want to help people get healthier. So what's your favorite thing to see as a gym owner? Like what's like the number one thing that lights you up, keeps you waking up every morning, opening new locations, working 18-hour days?
Oh, that's the easiest question. The reason I started working out in the first place. I want to see people do things that they never thought possible. That's why I own a gym. That's why I do what I do. I mean, I was able to overcome my own injuries and everything like that, and told I was never able to do in my life. And watching others do that, and by adapting to these methods, it makes you feel like really good knowing you're helping these people. Because I work with a lot of people that don't have these quote unquote normal lives. Just they feel debilitated, run down. And I was just talking before, but I had a client who was able to walk with assistance. He had pulls, but it's the first time he was able to walk in 3.5 years. And he broke down crying because he was able to hold his wife's hand and walk. He's never been able to, hasn't not been able to do this, only 40. Like that's mind-boggling. And that's like, okay, gotta go to work. Let's go. Because you really help change so many people's lives.
That's amazing. So you're definitely like, you're going to be like helping people understand also like, it's not all about weight loss either. Sometimes it's about ability level. It's about how many pull-ups you can do. It's about like the ability to hold your partner's hand, go for a walk up some stairs that you've not been able to do before. So I love that aspect rather than just focusing primarily on like the numbers. So I'm curious, like, how do you celebrate members in your gym who accomplish big things? Like, what do you do for them? Do you put them pictures up on the wall, before and after, stuff like that?
Our clients would hate that. Getting pictures of our clients is very tough. They're just like, please no pictures. But to celebrate, it's just celebrating little victories with them and always being a part of their lives. It's my job to know all their first name, last names, what they do for a living, when their anniversaries are, when their birthdays are. And you don't do it because you have to, you do it because you want to. And you really become ingrained in these people's lives. And just, I go out of my way for high fives. That's my thing. I love high fives. Big component. I'm just like, that's awesome. High five them. Like, I'm so happy you did that. Maybe it was something simple like they walked up a curb, or maybe their bathing suit fit for the first time that hasn't fit. I don't, we track numbers because it's important for some people to see it visually. A lot of people will work in a gym for 6 months and be like, I haven't lost any weight. And then we have to reassess and be like, well, actually, look at all this improvement scale you did. And then we started tracking their mental health, because I think that's more important than how they actually look. And just being able to see smiles on people's faces that don't necessarily like do it all the time. And so because they're worried about other stuff going in their life. Like a good example is half our clients have autism. So working with that population and then just watching them smile and have fun and just be themselves. It's amazing. And that the victories with them are just watching them be happy. Like that's a victory. They're comfortable. It's amazing. I can't even put it into words. Something you have to see.
That's awesome. And so you're helping people understand like the benefits of exercise outside of like bicep curls or getting like becoming skinny, right? You're like helping people actually like create a lifelong relationship with movement and like how that makes their body feel. So that's like, I love that you're doing God's work.
Yeah. I think the most important part, and this can overlap any kind of fitness, is don't get in the industry and think that you don't want to teach your clients, because then why do they need you? I think that's the way we hurt ourselves the most and kind of shoot ourselves in the foot. Because to me, I get in this to help people. So the best thing I can see is when you don't need me anymore. I would rather that, knowing I created such a habit in someone's life that they're able to do it on their own. That's a victory in my eyes. And that's my goal for every one of my clients is I want you to know as much as I do, and maybe more, because I have a lot of trainers, so you can learn from them. And if you know more than us, that's a victory. And that's what I want. So you could take this knowledge and spread it out, because we just got to make the world a healthier place and really stop focusing on, well, what about me? They'll leave. Like, don't think like that. Go out
trainers.
and help people.
I think that's another like unspoken thing in fitness is people who are like, I don't like to answer why. I feel like I'm either being attacked or I don't want to give away my industry secrets. But I feel like newsflash, nothing doesn't exist on the internet. Like there's nothing I've written down, put into a podcast, put into a book, done anything like that doesn't exist somewhere else. Nothing that I have is like unique and special to the point where I don't want to give away my proprietary secret sauce, right? And I think that you're 100% right. When we start adopting this scarcity mindset of like, I have to keep all this information huddled like tight to my chest, like that's off-putting. That's just like, it makes you look bad. And I'm always trying to give away as much info as possible, just trying to help people, because most people aren't going to remember this stuff. You talk about like, oh, when you're doing your Bulgarian split squat, that's when you're really going to be activating your VMO. And that's how you're going to have that ankle mobility and stability. And people are going to be like, yeah, I got it. Something about legs, So they're not picking up all this, like the industry jargon anyway. So give away that information, put another tool in someone's tool belt. That's what's going to serve them long-term. So I love what you said about that.
I mean, that's why we podcast, isn't it? That's why we both do what we do. It's giving away a bunch of free information to people to hopefully change people's ideas about health and fitness and maybe take the right step. It's not like they're going to come back to me. I don't get clients off my podcast because most listeners are like in a different country or state, whatever. So I'd rather just, maybe I sparked someone to go to the gym. Maybe I sparked someone to take that extra step. Maybe I sparked someone to never give up. That's how I get paid. And that's the most rewarding thing in the world, because I'm able to teach people. Then I tell my clients to listen, and then they learn, and they know more than I do eventually. And it's awesome.
I've always just done it because I love the sound of my own voice. So, but now that you said that, it is and giving, all that stuff you said. But it's the ego.
I'm going to be honest. I hate the sound of my own voice, so I don't listen to my shows.
Oh, you don't?
No, I edit them. I get them ready to go, and I put them out. But I don't listen because I just hate my voice.
I don't like mine either. And like the first couple of times when I would listen to like things or watch videos, I was like, oh, cringe. Is this how I sound all the time? What a douche. But then I just got over it. Now I just, it is what it is. I try to listen to like at least half of them though, because I do find myself with like different verbal tics. I say like too much. I say kind of. I've been working on that one, trying to cut back on some of those things that weaken the sentence.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
We do our best. That's why I think like fitness isn't necessarily about podcasting, right? But fitness is about getting a little bit better every single day. And so you can apply that to podcasting, you can apply that to business, you can apply that to relationships. And that's what I love about what this has taught me personally over time, is that going from like running away from something, feeling insecure in my own skin, to now like looking forward to being a little bit better every single day and having that transition. I love moving people through that, or watching their transformation as they not just like their bodies physically change, but how they perceive themselves, how their identity shifts.
Yeah, it goes a long way when you watch people you see it in their eyes. Just all of a sudden, they're just a different person. And they're just like, oh, I got this today.
The swagger.
Like, that's what I want.
Yeah, swagger's real. Anthony, so we haven't gotten a chance. I've mentioned it one time. We had to talk about this on your podcast, which is called
Health and Fitness Redefined.
Check it out on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify. He's got some really good stuff on there. So we talked about this on your podcast, and we had a kind of a disagreement about Bulgarian split squats, which I say everyone loves and they're the best. And you said nobody loves Bulgarian split squats. And I got to know, what's your favorite leg exercise? What is your number one?
Not doing legs. My favorite leg exercise. All right, this is going to sound, you would never guess this. So my favorite thing is, which I kind of relate to my accident I had when I was 20, but I fell backwards on ice. Basically, I lost my balance. And I never wanted to do that again. I was like, I never want to lose my balance again. So I make it my goal to the best I can at balancing on whatever it may be, doing different things. So I love squatting on Bosu balls with like pistol squats on there with weight, and you're doing some crazy stuff. I love that stuff. That's like my favorite leg exercises. My goal when I started exercising was I was watching a yoga ball, and I'm like, I'm going to squat on that thing. And for those who don't know what a yoga ball, it's the big circular one that has no base. And I finally did it. I was able to squat in there, and I was like, this is awesome. So unsafe, but awesome.
Huge goal. I love that. What's your one of your most impressive like personal achievements, the things that one of your most like proud of in the gym?
My most proud of in the gym. I would say what I was the most impressed about was it 2.5 years ago? I accidentally, we all have brain farts, right? Sometimes we just don't wake up in the morning on the right side of the bed. Yeah, I had one of those days, and I was being heckled saying I can't bench a weight that I thought I could bench. And I didn't warm up. I killed my triceps, and then I went to go do a weight I've never done before. Needless to say, I tore my chest. Totally 2 spots. It was ridiculous. But anyway, why am I bringing this up? Because I went to a physical therapist for one session once I was able to start working out. He was telling me like, oh, it's going to be about 3 to 6 months before you heal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the heck? And they were so unhelpful. And I was like, listen, I don't need you. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to heal myself in less than a month. She's like, you're not going to heal yourself. I'm like, yes, I am. I healed myself in less than a month. I did some unconventional things and was able to get full range of motion, almost complete strength back within a month's time. And I literally ripped, like, for example, dieting, right? So I said, okay, let's see. I tore my muscle. I tore off my sternum, and I had a partial tear up in here. So I need to heal my muscle. What I need is more protein in my diet. So I completely upped my protein. On top of that, I said, all right, what helps is what's the building block of proteins? BCAAs. Let me start taking a ridiculous amount of BCAAs.
Bathing. Okay.
Just bathing, just pouring it on me. But all right, cool. What else helps build muscle? Creatine. Awesome. I'm going to start taking creatine right now, and I'm going to keep myself on that. So I did that. Then in the gym side of it, in PT, this is pretty conventional, but you always want to work the opposing muscles to help stretch the muscle back out. That's always the goal. Is, let's say if you tore your chest, you're going to want to work on reverse flies and work your back so your muscles doesn't grow tight like this. You want to kind of string it out as it repairs itself. So I was like, all right, let me work out my back 3 to 4 days a week and really focus on range of motion, really focus on keeping my strength up. And that should help my chest start to heal. Within 2.5 weeks, I felt good enough to start doing chest exercises. So I started really, really, really light, like wall push-ups. And literally, like, that was it, man. It was just right there, back into a boom.
Eesh. Neither of us are doctors, for the record, and we do not condone taking 2.5 weeks to recover from a full chest tear.
Yes.
That's the subtext on this one. Eesh, bro, that's awesome. So proudest moment is recovering when they said you couldn't do it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it relates to like, I mean, your listeners don't know, so I'm going to give a brief little side, really quick story for time. But when I was 20, I fell backwards on ice and I herniated every disc in my neck, and I don't remember 3 months of my life. And I had frozen shoulder. I had no range of motion in my neck. I was on medicine for many, many years. And a bunch of doctors told me that I would never have a normal life again. I was 20 at the time. And, you know, just take your medicine, suffer with these migraines you get on a weekly basis. A doctor told me he's a physician, not a magician, to get out of his office. True story. And no one could help me. And then so that's it. Just take a Flexerol, go home. So I started actually, that's how I got into fitness. I was never into fitness before this. And through complete trial and error, kind of figured out how to move muscles, kind of figured out on my own how to get my shoulder working, how to get my neck working. And then I was able to touch my hand above my head the first time in 2.5 years. And now I don't let anything stop me. I do pull-ups, I do push-ups, you name it, I do it. And that is kind of why I take these unconventional methods, because I was able to do it on myself. And it really goes a long way where you just learn how to push yourself. I think the biggest problem with physical therapists, they're super smart people, please don't get me wrong, but they get controlled by the insurance companies. And that's where my issue is.
Fitness.
What?
That's another, I feel like that's another like complete like thing that doesn't get talked about in fitness. You're right. Physical therapists are completely like controlled by their insurance companies and who's going to pay them out and on what services. And so even if they are smart and they have these other ways that of working with you, the insurance companies will only pay them to perform X, Y, or Z modality. So unless it's covered by insurance, they will not do it for you. So I agree. I've run into some like great PTs, and I've run into some really crummy ones who just operate off of the textbook. Okay, it's a knee, therefore we do X, Y, Z. Not really as like assessing, not really like taking it, just taking the exact same workout over and over and over again, because that's what the handbook says.
So look at this for an example. It's just my client who I got back walking, right? When he never did that in PT. He never got up walking. He never got up moving because one, the insurance companies wouldn't let him. Two, liability red flag. We talked about that, right? So malpractice is extremely high because doctors are the most sued people in general, period. So they're always afraid to do more because they don't want to get sued and then have that huge lawsuit overhanging the roads. Well, I don't have that control. I don't have insurance companies knocking on my door telling me blah, 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 blah. And I train him like I watch infants, where it's an infant, it wants to walk, right? Who's seen infants try to walk? They fall a million times. Not that I want it to fall, we make sure he doesn't, but the body learns under that stress. And that's how my mentality of training. You're going to learn when your body gets really stressed out and then it has to figure out an answer, because your brains are super lazy. So you have to try to kick them into gear by doing things that would be like, well, I need to figure this out or else this is going to happen. And then it starts figuring out and putting those pieces together. So that's how you have to kind of look at how the body works. We do it safe. And please don't get me wrong, I'm always there next to him. He's never fallen. But he has to be under that impression that he's going to fall. And then his nerves start refiring. And then when they start refiring, then he's able to hold himself upright. And that's something I see most improvement with him. and just anyone in general. It's taking those extra steps. And this is what I do with myself, extra steps, things that kind of get frowned upon because they can't sit there and do a 500-page paper with 300 participants and track the p-value off of it. So it's different way of thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? You're really reinforcing my idea about hitting clients. You're making me feel like that's a really good idea, the way you just said that. So thank you so much for, lending some credibility to that. I'm going to make sure that they know Anthony said this was okay. I'm just going to paraphrase.
Fair enough.
Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on and joining us on the podcast. So before we wrap up though, I got to know, if you were going to have a superpower, what would it be? Why? This is important stuff.
It's a very important question. I've been asked this before and I never have a good answer. The more closest one I can get to is called like telekinesis. Just control things with my brain would be awesome.
You do give me some Dr. X vibes.
Yeah. You know when that steak is just out of reach and you don't want to get up? Now I have it.
Yeah. Would you be able to control other people's too? Or would you be able to read minds or just move stuff around?
I would hate to read minds.
Oh, it'd be dark. Be so dark.
Oh my God. I feel like you could never have a relationship. How many times is your brain going on a tangent about something that you just really don't feel, but it starts thinking about? And you're like, I really am so grateful now to read my mind.
I don't even want to read my own mind. Honestly. Like,
exactly.
I don't want to like perceive what I'm thinking about sometimes. Cause I'm like, how did I get here? I'm so stupid. All right. So no reading minds, just external movement of objects with your brain. Would you have to put your thumb on your fingers on your temple like this though?
I feel like I'll have to.
You probably have to.
I know you didn't ask, that I could do it.
I would love to be super speedy. I'd love to be like Quicksilver in the X-Men, where you run really fast.
Shot.
What's that?
He dies in Marvel.
Does he? Well, he's probably comes back. They always die and come back.
Very
Everyone's
dead.
fine. No, I'm sure he's good. Also, how could anyone kill him? He's impossible to pin down.
He went to go save, I think, his sister, and he got shot by Ultron. Huge Marvel fan. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, yeah, that's X-Men is Marvel.
Well, now it is. They had their own version of Quicksilver in Marvel because they didn't have the rights to X-Men, but now they finally do.
Okay.
So now he'll be probably reintroduced through a different time zone after Doctor Strange.
We're gonna have to reconvene to talk about this, because there's just so many things I want to say about superheroes that we just don't have time for in this episode. Anthony, how can people get in touch with you? How can they listen to your podcast? And then you mentioned kind of like I'm not going to try to oversell it, but like free fitness classes. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, we'll give away 3 virtual fitness classes at our studio of Redefine Fitness. And this is Redefine-Fitness. We'll have the link in the show notes. We'll give you a promo code so you can go check out, be a part of that. And you can take them from anywhere in the world because it's virtual. It's run by one of my favorite people who, back to what I talked about previous in the show, biggest compliment I could ever get is when a client becomes a trainer. And that's what happened with her. She was a client, loved it so much, fell in love with the fitness industry, learned more than I did, and now is a trainer and works for me. It's amazing. I love it. But huge compliment. So that is something I definitely recommend taking. She's an amazing person. Her name is Lauren. So go check out those 3 free virtual classes. And then go check out my podcast, Health and Fitness Redefined, streaming everywhere on YouTube, Rumble, all audio platforms. Highly recommend that you guys check it out, and you can get a hold of me pretty much anywhere. So just Anthony, amen. Amen. Can't mess it up. There's not many of me. So go find it, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Really appreciate having you on the show.
All right. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun.